Very good morning to one and all, and I welcome all the listeners of this video to the next session. So, especially from the last few sessions, we are discussing about programming on threads. Okay, so here in thread programming, we have started what is a thread and how to define, how to create threads in Java. And after that, we have went through the thread life cycle, and then we have covered how we can suspend a thread. So suspending a thread depending upon time, and we have seen three types: suspending a thread depending upon time, suspending a thread depending upon a condition, and suspending a thread without a condition. So here we use the sleep method, join method, suspend method, and then resume method. Along with that, we have covered start and stop. So along with these methods which are used to suspend the threads in different ways, after that we have seen about the thread priorities. So how to give an importance to a thread and how to execute the thread with some importance. So we have seen about the set priority method especially in the previous session. So in today's session, we are going to cover the background threads. So how to run a thread in the background. So before going to see that, let us have some clarity regarding what is the background threads. So see here, for example, as we discussed earlier, for example, in thread life cycle, see here in thread life cycle, let us assume it is the ready state, okay, and it is the running state. Okay, ready state and running state. So for example, there are two threads. For example, let us assume T1 and T2 are the two threads. Now, what will move the threads from ready state to running state? So the CPU scheduling algorithm. So depending upon the CPU scheduling algorithms, these threads will move from ready state to running state. So at this point of time, now the CPU will schedule. Okay, now the CPU will schedule for only T1 and T2. Okay, T1 and T2. So for example, there is a thread called as T3. Right, see here, there is a thread called as T3, which was kept as a background thread. Okay, which was kept as a background thread. So I will say how to keep the thread as a background. I will explain it. Don't worry. So let us see what is a background thread and what is a front end thread. Okay. So see here. Now there are three threads in the ready state: T1, T2, and T3, where T1 and T2 are the front end and T3 is the back end. Now the CPU is going to schedule only for T1 and T2. So whenever this running state is free, so whenever this running state is free, or whenever the CPU is free, okay, whenever the CPU is free, then the computer is going to execute the T3 thread. Okay, so the original schedule will not be given for the background threads. Background threads will get executed whenever the CPU is free. So when the CPU is not free, background thread will not execute. We know that the CPU is free. We know the CPU will have some ideal time in between the task. For example, CPU is executing task number 1, and in between switching from task 1 to task 2, there may be some ideal time. During that ideal time, the background threads are going to be executed. Okay, so this is what will happen inside the processor I am discussing, right? So from programming point of view, there will be no difference in the output, right? There will be no difference in the output, but in the execution point of view, okay, in the execution point of view, if we want to execute a thread when the CPU is ideal, then we have to go for this background threads. Okay, so see here in Java programming language, there is one method called as setDaemon, right? There is one method called as setDaemon, setDaemon. So setDaemon. So for this method, I have to pass true value. Okay, I have to pass true value. Now what will happen is there are three threads in the program: T1, T2, and T3. Among the three threads, I have said the system that T1 as a daemon thread. Daemon thread means the thread which will run in the background. So now, there are 3 threads in the ready state or the new state, and there are 3 threads has been moved into the ready state, but CPU is going to execute or is going to schedule. The CPU may follow first come first serve or a round robin or a shortest job first or any type of algorithm. But when we say T1 dot set daemon, even though it was moved into the ready state first, and at that particular point of time, if the CPU is ideal, then it is going to execute it. Or if the CPU is busy with performing any other task, then this thread T1 will not be executed, or the schedule for the T1 will not be given. So CPU is going to give the schedule for T2 and T3 only after the completion of T2 and T3, or in the middle. Maybe the CPU is ideal in the middle because of so many reasons. The CPU may be ideal. Oh, it depends upon the task which are performing by the CPU. So whenever the CPU is ideal, then this T1 is coming into the picture. Then this T1 will get executed. So if the processor is not ideal, unless and until the processor is ideal, then only these background threads are going to be executed. So what this daemon thread means, the thread which will run in the background is called as daemon thread. And if you want to make a thread as background thread, you have to use the method as set daemon, and you have to pass the parameter true. So we are setting this T1 as a background thread. So when you set a thread as background thread, that thread will be executed when the CPU is ideal. The schedule will not be given for this thread because it is a background thread. It will be executed when the CPU is ideal. Okay, now I want to say one example of background threads in Java called as a GC. So GC is one of the background thread in Java. What do you mean by GC? GC means garbage collector. Garbage collector. So see here, what is garbage collector? So a garbage collector is a background thread in Java programming in Java. So what this background thread garbage collector will do is that, so here, whenever we say a space T1 equal to new a, okay, whenever the JVM encounters this new keyword, it is going to create some space and it is going to name that space as T1. Okay, it is going to name that space as T1, and inside this T1, the non-statical variables and the non-statical methods of class A are going to be stored. So this creation of memory is done by using new keyword, and after the successful execution of this block, or if the execution is completed, this garbage collector is going to delete this memory automatically. So when will this garbage collector is scheduled? So there is no particular point of scheduling this garbage collector, because garbage collector is a thread which will run in the background. And when we say the background thread, that thread will be executed whenever the CPU is ideal. When the CPU is busy in performing the task, this background threads will do nothing. Whenever the CPU is ideal, it is going to execute the background threads. Okay, so the best example of background thread is the garbage collector. So what this garbage collector will do is that whenever we use the new keyword in Java program, some amount of space will be reserved under the given name. So after the successful usage of that space, that entire space will be deleted automatically in the background by using this thread called as background thread garbage collector. Okay, so this is what about the daemon threads or the background threads. So if you execute this one, so when I compile it, there are no errors, and I'm trying to run the code. And if I run the code, you can see here, it has printed 11, 12 and followed by some numbers. Yeah. Okay. So this is how this background thread will play its role in Java programming. Okay, and then see here, instead of writing all these things, I am going to delete some part of the program in order to explain what is synchronization. So see here, there is only one class A, and inside that one I have a run method, and this method is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5. Now see here, instead of creating different threads for different classes, now I want to create, see here, I want to create a couple of threads. Okay, I want to create couple of threads for the same class. Now T1 and T2 are the two threads for the same class. Okay, now if I want to start executing this T1, I can give T1.start, and at the same time, if I want to execute T2, I can give T2.start. So now what this start method will do is that it is going to bring these two threads from new state to ready state. So whenever you create an object, so there will be two threads will be created in the new state. Whenever you call the start method, those two threads will be moved from new state to ready state. Okay, and from ready, it depends upon the compiler. Sorry, it depends upon the CPU. It depends upon the CPU scheduling algorithms, right? So now what this will, T1 is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5, and T2 is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, now if we run the code, so depending upon the CPU scheduling algorithm, we may get a different output. See here, I got 1 1 2 3 2 3 4 5 4 5, and if you execute it again, I'm getting 1 1 2 2 3 4 4 5, and if I execute it again, I may get a different output, 1 1 2 2 3 4 5 4 5, and if I execute it again, I may get something different output. Okay, again I got the same output. Okay, so see here, let us compile it and let us run it again. So see here, now I got 1 2 1 2 3 3 4 4 5. Okay, so each and every time if I try to run, I am getting almost a similar output, or a output of some with some difference. Let us assume this is the code. This is the code which is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, so if I want to print the numbers from 1 to 5, I have to enter into the block. Let us assume. So I have two things, T1 and T2. So if T1 enters into the block, it is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5. If T2 is entered into the block, it is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5. If both are entering into the block simultaneously, then we may get 1 1 2 2 3, or we may get 1 2 1 2 3 4, similar to this one. Okay, now what I want to have is that I want to make, for example, if T1 entered into the block first, I will not allow this T2 until T1 comes out of this block. Or if T2 enters into the block, okay, if T2 enters into the block first, I don't want to allow this T1 until and unless T2 come out of the block. So if we make so, we can get the output 1 2 3 4 5, because T2 has entered the first, and after coming the T2 out of the block, so T1 has been entered, so I may get 1 2 3 4 5. So I will get an order of 1 2 3 4 5 and 1 2 3 4 5. So what makes us to do so? Okay, what makes us to do so? In order to make only one thread to enter into the block, that is called as synchronization. So okay, if we go for public void synchronized, just a second. Synchronized. See here. So if I have this synchronized keyboard, Okay, if I have this synchronized keyboard, now, as we discussed earlier, this block, okay, this block from this position to this position. So what was highlighted on the screen? So it will be executed with only one thread at particular point of time. For example, if there are two threads, T1 and T2, if T1 is executing that block, T2 will not be allowed until and unless T1 was brought back. And then if T1 enters into the block first, now T2 will not be allowed. And at the same time, if T2 enters into the block first, T1 will not be allowed unless T2 comes out of the block. Okay, now we may have a chance of getting the output as 125 and 125. So let us see here. Let us compile and run the code. Successfully compiled, and if I run the code, I'm getting a same output. Just a second. Okay, so no problem. So see here. So okay, now if you make a block as synchronized, okay, I will check the output and I will let you know. So if we make a block as synchronized, right? If you make a block as synchronized, now if one thread entering into the block, for example, let us assume T1 has entered into the block. So unless and until T1 comes out of this block, okay, unless and until T1 comes out of this block, no other threads will not be allowed into the block. After coming out of this block, then one more thread will be entered into the block. And if this thread is executing this block, no other thread is going to be executed. So that is what the synchronized keyboard. Okay, so if you use this synchronized keyboard, so this block is going to be executed by only one thread at a time. And then now let us see here. For example, we have gone through certain methods called as sleep. Okay, we have seen about the sleep method, we have seen about the join method, and we have seen about the suspend method, and then we have seen about the resume method. Along with that, we have seen about the start method, and then the stop method, and followed by the set priority. Okay, set priority method, and then set daemon method. These are all the methods which we have covered in this thread so far. So now all these four methods, for example, sleep, join, suspend, and resume. So which is used to suspend a thread depending upon time, which is used to suspend a thread depending upon a condition, which is used to suspend a thread unconditionally. Okay, and resume will bring back the thread from waiting state to ready state. Now in synchronized blocks, okay, if the block is having the synchronized keyword, then the block will become the synchronized block. In such blocks, sleep, join, and suspend will not work. Okay, sleep, join, and suspend will not work in order to suspend a thread. So what we have to do in order to suspend a thread? We have to do, okay, we have to use a method called as wait. We have to use a method called as wait in order to suspend a thread in synchronized block. And in order to bring back the thread, okay, in order to bring back the thread from waiting state to ready state, we can use notify. Okay, wait is going to move the thread from running to waiting state, and notify is going to move the thread from waiting to ready state. Okay, at the same time, if I want, for example, if there are 5 threads which have been in waiting state, and if I want to bring all the threads at a time, I can use notify all. So this notify all will bring back all the threads from waiting state to ready state. Okay, so this is what will generally happen in case of synchronized blocks. So in synchronized blocks, if we want to suspend a thread, we cannot use the sleep method, join method, or suspend method, but we can use the wait method in order to suspend a thread. And in order to bring back the thread into execution, we have to go for notify. And for example, if there are 10 threads which have been suspended by wait method, then if I want to bring all the 10 threads at once into the execution, then I can go for notify all. So this is all what about the thread background threads and thread synchronization. So with this, I'm going to close today's session, and hope you all understood today's session. And we will meet you in the next session with the concept of maybe exception handling. So we can see what is an exception and how exceptions are raised in the program. And in Java, what are the different keywords which are used to handle such exceptions? And what happens if an exception is not handled? Okay, we will discuss all the things in the next class. And thank you very much for being here. We will meet you in the next class with the concept of exception handling.